In this example, we'll be preparing Form 941 and Schedule B for Mayfield's Candy Shop for the third quarter using the information provided here. The number of employees, total pay, withholding and tax liability dates, and amounts are obtained from the payroll registers for the quarter. The basic business information and the reporting period is filled in at the top of the form. In Part 1, the number of employees, the total compensation paid to those employees, and the amount of income tax withheld from that compensation is entered. Starting on line 5A, enter the taxable Social Security wages in column 1. If any employees have exceeded the wage base for Social Security withholding, this number will be smaller than the amount on line 2. For Mayfield's, the wages are all taxable for Social Security. Multiply this number by 12.4%, 6.2% for employee, and 6.2% for employer, and enter it in column 2. Enter any tips subject to Social Security on the next line in column 1. Multiply this amount by 12.4% and record it in column 2. Employees at Mayfield's are not tipped employees. Enter the Medicare taxable wages and tips on the next line in column 1. Multiply this amount by 2.9% and record it in column 2. Line 5D is for additional Medicare withholding, applicable when an employee earns more than $200,000 in a calendar year. Mayfield's has no employees in this category. The additional Medicare tax is 0.9%, withheld only from the employee's wages and tips. The employer does not match this amount. On line 5E, sum the amounts in column 2 for rows 5A through 5D. If the business has received an IRS notice and demand for tax due on unreported tips, that amount is recorded on line 5F. Total lines 3, 5E, and 5F and record that amount on line 6. This is the total calculated tax, including federal income tax withheld during the quarter. At this point, it is necessary to complete Part 2 of Form 941 if your business is a monthly depositor, or Schedule B if your business is a semi-weekly depositor. Since Mayfield's is a semi-weekly depositor, we will complete Schedule B. The purpose of Schedule B is to provide information on the days and the amounts of the tax liability. If you are wondering how the IRS would know if you made the right deposits on time, this is where you would report the pay dates, and they will use this information to ensure your deposits were on time and the correct amount. The days should correspond to pay dates, not the dates you made the deposits. Enter the basic business information at the top of the form, including the quarter and the calendar year, using the tax liability from the payroll register and noting that this includes federal income tax withheld, the employee's share of Social Security and Medicare, and the employer's share of Social Security and Medicare. Record the amounts for each pay period, starting with July 5th, then July 19th, and the pay dates for August and September. Total each month and the quarter. You will notice that the total amount on Schedule B does not match exactly the amount on line 6 of Form 941. This is because of rounding that occurs because the individual pay date amounts are each rounded to the nearest penny, while the amount on Form 941 is rounded only once for the entire quarter's wages and tips. Line 7 is where you record the adjustment for rounding. Schedule B represents the amounts deposited, which total $14,558.34 for the quarter. Form 941 totaled $14,558.40, so you need to adjust the amount down by 6 cents in order not to have a balance due. Since this is an adjustment down, you would record it in brackets. Additional tax adjustments for sick pay paid by a third-party provider, tips, and group term life insurance not collected from the employee are recorded on lines 8 and 9. These are not common adjustments. Taxes after adjustments is recorded on line 10 as the sum of lines 6 through 9. Record the total deposits for the quarter on line 11. The information may include deposits made after the end of the quarter, but that were for the month of September. Lines 12A and 12B are for reporting COBRA premium assistance the business provided to involuntarily terminated employees. COBRA premium assistance payments apply to medical insurance premiums paid by employees terminated between September 1st, 2008 and May 31st, 2010, and covers up to 15 months of premiums. The employer pays 65% of the premium for eligible employees and receives a credit of the same amount on their payroll taxes. Mayfields had no COBRA payments for this quarter. Total tax after COBRA adjustment is recorded on line 13, and the balance due, if any, or overpayment, if any, is recorded on line 14 or 15. If you have an overpayment, you can elect to receive a refund or to apply it to your next return. Just remember to reduce your next deposit if you elect to apply it to your next return. The last steps are to complete Part 3 if your business has closed or stopped paying employees, or if you are a seasonal employer. Part 4 to identify or decline to allow the IRS to speak to someone other than yourself about the return, and Part 5, sign the return and provide contact information. Note that this return is due on October 31st, and that deadline is extended by 10 days if all required deposits have been made on time for the quarter.